everyone, and welcome to a much more friendlier episode of Scott and Wade Talk About Whatever. We're going to talk about Home Alone 3, a movie that people say they hate, and it's one of those things like, we, for the longest time, maybe it's because we're in that nostalgia bubble, like, I saw it literally in the theater.
I didn't see it in the theater, but definitely around that time.
6 or 7, I saw it in the theater with my mom and grandmother. At the Herondale Theater.
Oh,
that's old.
You're taking me back.
If you live in like Glen Burnie, Maryland, you'll get that reference. I don't know, but anyway, maybe because we grew up with the movie, we have a little bit more acceptance for it. But we're talking about Home Alone 3.
Yeah. So if you watched our previous review of Home Sweet Home Alone, we mentioned that we were going to talk about this at the very end. And also, if you didn't watch that video, go ahead and watch it. Give it a look. Give it a thumbs up. Whatever. Suffer with us. It's fun. Misery loves company.
It was written by John Hughes, and it was directed by a man named Raja Gosnell, here's some movies he directed. I did not know he directed these movies. Big Mama's House.
All right.
Never Been Kissed. Both Scooby-Doo movies. Live action ones.
Right.
The Smurfs. And the Smurfs 2. Oh, Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
So we're talking a high pedigree. Now all these other movies came after this, right?
I think Never Been Kissed was before. This was 1997. Never Been Kissed was like 1995.
If Never Been Kissed was after this, it couldn't have been by much.
But anyway, this it's a different Home Alone. It doesn't have any of the main cast from the original. Doesn't have your Macaulay Culkins, your Catherine O'Hara's, your John Hurd's, your Joe Pesci's, your Daniel Stern's.
Literally nobody from the previous movies are in this. And honestly, it's for the better.
Yes, I agree.
If I learned one thing as being, and I mentioned this in the last video, as someone who has watched every single Home Alone movie, I can tell you, the key to an okay to good Home Alone sequel, do not feature the McAllisters. Okay? Home Alone 4, they featured the McAllisters, and it sucks. Home Sweet Home Alone, they featured a McAllister.
And they reference Kevin.
And apparently the security cam thing was called McAllister.
It also has the logo from Home Alone.
Yeah. No McAllisters. Don't throw a McAllister in your sequel unless you've got Macaulay Culkin.
Anyway, so this has Alex D. Linz, who is also Max Keebler.
In Max Keebler's big move.
Yeah.
And this is a good one for me. He also played one of Nikki and Alex's little friends on a couple episodes of not Home Improvement, on Full House. Why did I say Home Improvement? He was probably on that one. He's one of those kids where it's like, in the 90s, like, you probably saw him pop up on an episode or two of a sitcom you watched.
And this movie predicted the future of Disney. What's going on with Disney. Because Scarlett Johansson is one of her starting roles, I think. Black Widow.
I think this was her first film role.
So Marvel. And at some point when Alex, ironically the kid's name is Alex, so he's Alex in real life and Alex here, he looks through the telescope wearing a Darth Vader helmet.
That is
Star
true.
Wars. Did Home Alone 3, did Raja know about the future?
Oh, and the rat Doris predicted Ratatouille.
Oh, rat!
I know, right?
Oh, poop. That is amazing. But this movie starts out a little differently than the other Home Alone movies. It starts out with, like, covert ops spy stuff.
Yeah, which, if you're coming off Halloween, God, I did it again. I did it in the last one. I'm sorry. I still got Halloween on the brain. Evil Dies Tonight. If you're used to the Home Alone 1 and 2 openings, and you're just like, oh, did I put on the right movie? If that bothers you, then you're probably fucked for the rest of this movie. But if you stick with it...
So we're introduced to the villains, led by Mo Howard.
He does look like Mo Howard.
Or Mr. Beaupre. Beaupre.
Mr. Beaupre.
There's Alice, who is not like a miss, it's just Alice.
We just call her Alice.
There's Mr. Jernigan.
Burton Jernigan.
I
only remember his full name because I just love the name Burton Jernigan. It's a great name.
I think the other one's Earl Unger. Where's Mr. Unger?
I just know Mr. Unger, but I'm telling you, Burton Jernigan is one of the best names ever created.
And we might as well reveal it. There's one line we always repeat.
Yes!
For 15 years of friendship.
Yes, over 15 years.
Sometimes we just say, "Where's Mr. Jernigan?"
Yeah, if we're like waiting for people to show up at like a party or something, we'd be like, "And where's Mr. Jernigan?"
So basically, they chase this character, Mrs. Hess, because they got the toy. This whole thing involves a toy car that has a missile microchip in there.
If I may. So what happens is they have to sneak this chip through the airport to get it to the person who the chip is meant for.
Hong Kong.
They're essentially patsies. They're carriers.
Middlemen.
Right, they're middlemen. And so they have to get it through the airport to get it to Hong Kong. What happens is they hide the chip in a toy car to get it through security. However, Mrs. Hess picks up did she pick up the toy car by mistake?
By mistake.
Or did she have one and they switched?
They basically had two identical bags. She took the wrong
Right. So she gets the car, they get her bread. She got bread.
And they also, like, they're running around, and Mr. Beaupre is just like, he just assumes they're going to Chicago. That's a hunch. And they go to Chicago.
Well, no, I think he saw something. I think there was
they said Chicago now boarding. But here's the thing.
That could have been anybody. Who's to say she's boarding that
She
flight?
could have been waiting for 3 hours.
It looked cool.
And also, it's one of those things like, how they get 4 tickets?
Oh, by the way, you're also
this is pre-2001,
right.
Maybe, so it's a little easier.
You are also forgetting another great line from the film. So, as they're searching frantically to find this toy car, before they realize they need to go to Chicago, they're searching all over the place. And I think, who was the one with the long hair? Was that Mr. Jernigan or was that Mr. Unger? That was Mr. Unger. Mr. Unger, with one of the best lines ever uttered. When I was in the John, I didn't see anything in there.
You say that line too.
And it's one I use all the time because it's so good. And I'm just thinking, like, everyone else is searching. I just imagine he was just going in there, take a piss, wash his hands. He didn't give a shit.
And he also did the same joke in the kitchen when they're doing the traps and stuff like that.
He did.
So there's nothing in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. But it's not as good. It's not as good as the way he did it.
But yeah, like it's technically not a Christmas movie.
It is a winter movie, yes. It is not Christmas.
Mr. Jernigan asked the cabbie, he's like, well, January 8th, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, well, they give you a date, I think.
January 8th.
Wait, no, but I mean, like, you know, like, I think, like, a little, like text or whatever on the bottom tells you at some point what the date is anyway.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, this is not a Christmas movie, unlike the other. I think all the other ones are Christmas movies, except this one.
Yeah.
And I think that's another one of those things that kind of maybe turn people off to it.
So the plot is Alex gets the toy car for shoveling the driveway, and he gets chicken pox, and he's home. He's literally home alone. They do a different spin to where, like, the mom's a workaholic mom, the dad goes on to a business trip, the kids go to school. It's perfectly placed.
And also, because he's got the chicken pox, he can't go to school. So he has to be home.
Yes.
He can't go to school. He can't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
So there's that, and, you know, all this stuff ensues, and...
See, that's how you subvert expectations.
Yes.
Right there. That's the way you do it, Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson did do Home Sweet Home Alone. Maybe he did. I
think he ghost directed it. That's a thing, right?
Yes.
Maybe he's been Alan Smithy this whole time, just subverting expectations.
There is some differences. There's some things that work and some things that don't.
Right.
That they try taking from the original, the original formula. I say, thinking, okay, well, now we have 4 villains instead of 2. I think it works.
Right.
I think it works for this.
Well, they're all different, you know.
And ironically, he lives in a house that's still renovating. They say in the plot, and you're just like, that's an interesting choice.
Well, it kind of, in a way, unintentional or unintentional, is kind of a throwback to Home Alone 2 when you go to his Uncle Rob's house and they're renovating that.
Yes.
I do think it opens up the possibility for traps.
And the traps are fun.
Right? Some of them, I will say, do require a lot of precision that I don't think a kid of his age, with chicken pox and everything, I don't think would be able to.
He also made these traps when everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
And no one called the cops when they heard like Mr. Jernigan get electrocuted and the shotgun shells exploding, or when.
Well, remember, it's during the day. Everybody's at work or at school. That's a plot point. That's a point in the movie that they say, like, that's why they go when they go into the house, because everyone's gone. There's actual thought went into some.
And
of
also
this
the
stuff.
villains, and also there's a snowstorm. That's another big thing. There's a snowstorm there. The villains, they luckily got a lease on the house, and they these are they're spy connects or whatever. But like, what I like about the villains are they also have great comedic like facials. Mr. Unger.
Oh my God, they all just nailed it.
Yeah, they're great, including Mel Howard. And also, there's one thing that does not work. In the first movie, you had Old Man Marley,
right? Who's
just a misunderstood old man that there's a lot of rumors around the neighborhood he killed his family. Turns out there's a payoff to that because he is back with his family.
Yeah, he's actually a nice guy.
And of course, with the John Williams score, you're crying your eyeballs out.
I wasn't crying. You were crying.
The Pigeon Lady.
I'm crying
the two turtle doves. The idea of the Pigeon Lady. Mrs. Hess is just an old bitch.
She really is. There's nothing to it. No, but you know what I think it is? You know what I think it is, though?
And also, she got chicken pox when Herbert Hoover was president.
I think that was a joke. I don't think that was true. But I think the idea with her is because she's grumpy and grouchy because she's lonely and nobody seems to want anything to do with her unless they want something from her. You know, like, he wants money to shovel her sidewalk. They want her to babysit Alex, but nobody wants anything. But then at the end, once she realizes the worth of Alex and she realizes he's a good kid for saving her and everything, and they realize that like they're actual human beings,
but there's
to care about.
There's no actual bonding moments.
No, there kind of is when he like basically like saves her and gets her.
That's tacked on.
But also it may be, but it's still there. It's better than what we got in Home Sweet Home Alone.
I mean, he bonded with the parrot.
And, well, not only that, but then you factor in at the end, once everybody's like chill, you know, it's like all of a sudden now she's just like accepted as a friend, and not just and the old lady who will watch their kid.
And they do rip off some things like the electrocution gag. And
they tweak it though.
They tweak it to where he doesn't turn into a skeleton.
Well, no, they do. They tweak it to where he farts lightning.
The animal, Marv hits Harry with the crowbar with the spider on his chest.
Yeah.
Alice hits Mr. Jernigan in the balls.
Oh, it's Doris the rat.
Yeah, so.
Oh, which also gave us another great line. You smacked my Winky.
You smacked my Winky.
This is without a doubt the first time the phrase Winky ever came into my lexicon.
But overall, like, I mean, we talk about Home Alone's fun. It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
No.
It's not in the level of Home Alone 1 and 2. It's got enough going for it to where it feels like a fun little harmless. It's a harmless movie. People are so offended by this movie. I don't see why.
And like the kid, and like for example, the kid. You know, you kind of feel for him. You know, his brother and sister are kind of dicks to him. His parents aren't really there for him. His babysitter is a bitch. You know, he's got the chicken pox.
His bug died.
Don't forget about his bug dying. R.I.P. the bug. But I'm just saying, like, you can kind of relate to this kid. He's not, Kevin level, but, like, he's not an asshole. Unlike Home Sweet Home Alone. Yeah. Did you ever see Home Alone 3?
Yeah.
You ever see Home Alone 3? You should watch Home Alone 3. We should make a video where we tell you why you should watch Home Alone 3.
And you know what? If you've seen Home Alone 3, you should like the video, you should subscribe to the video, and you should comment on the video that you love.
And in the comments, tell us that we should make a movie, or a video about how you should watch the movie Home Alone 3.
But
and
also,
maybe we'll do it.
Please, like and subscribe just because we watched Home Sweet Home Alone for you.
Yeah.
We didn't do it on our own kindness. We didn't want to do it for our own selves. We did it for the kindness of our own hearts that is now blackened and shriveled up. But I'm just going to go watch the original Home Alone. Or Home Alone 2, because Home Alone 2 is just as good.
Home Alone 2 gets a lot of undeserved hate as well, not as much as 3.
Why?
A lot of people say it's just a shot-for-shot remake. I don't buy that. I do think there's enough similarities to where I think... I understand, but...
There's the wet bandits, and there's the sticky bandits.
Well, right. And then, there's Old Man Marley, but then there's the Pigeon Lady.
But then there's also Tim Curry.
Right. Instead of not Tim Curry.
There's also Cheeks, Boney Bob, Cliff,